Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to some lunchtime encouragement. This is just Tiffany Quinones coming to you live from West Coast, California on, what's the date? December 20th. Yes. So, what is the best gift you can give and the best goal you can work on? Listen up. I'm going to tackle that today in today's video. And so I'm going to let Facebook do its thing just for a couple of minutes. Just got some music playing in the background. And so how's your day going so far? So tell me, please share this as you're coming on. And then we're going to get started here in just a second. So you heard my title, What is the Best Gift and Goal? And I've been sharing my story about being in foster care and being abused and a little bit about what that has been like and how I've overcome and have achieved victory. And so today I wanted to touch on something as promised. I said that I would. I wanted to touch on something that isn't really talked about. It is, and there are about two sides of the spectrum that people fall on. People fall on this spectrum of being a professional, one of these, and they walk it out, they walk in it. And then you have the other side of the spectrum where people are like, who, me? I ain't doing that. So-and-so don't deserve that from me. Why should I, fill in the blank? And sometimes people do use blankety blank, blank, blank. So what is the best gift and the best goal that you can work on and give? We're going to go over that. And so there are people that there's like this complete process that people have to walk through in order to achieve full victory in this area. I went through and I found some statistics, some like 6 things that this key thing can, the negative side of it and the positive side of it. And so as I am talking about this today, ask yourself the question, what side of the spectrum do I fall on? Where am I at right now, and how can I get better in that area regardless? Yes. So bear with me just a moment. I'm going to invite some folks. I know my friend is traveling, but let's see. So, how is your Thursday going so far? We're at a time where holidays can bring up a lot of stuff for people. There's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of things going around, family time. There's, family can be a big, they can be tough to be around. Let's face it, let's be honest. Family is family, right? We love them, and sometimes they can, there's a few mixed nuts in every family. I'm one of those nuts. But overall, so something that has happened in my life is, like, this is the best thing I have ever done in my life that I'm going to talk about today. It's one of the most important decisions and choices I've made, and I shared about it actually in yesterday's video. If you haven't watched that, please go back and watch it from the beginning. And then in just a second, I'm going to go over the 6 key things. These are some things I found that deal with this most important gift and goal. So I'm sure some of you may have already figured it out, but I just wanted to ask you, what is the best gift ever and one of the most important goals that you can work on and continue to work on? What is that? Well, I am glad you asked, because this, when done, things will start to go better. You'll still have trouble in life, but things will start to go better. You will have more clarity in your thoughts. Your relationships will be more beneficial. You'll be able to do things like your job and maybe even do a business that you've possibly signed up for, or not possibly, maybe you've signed up for. Maybe you started a business, and so it isn't until we achieve this one thing that's when things change. Things won't change in our life until we achieve this one thing. What is this one thing I'm talking about? It's the word forgiveness. I was asked a question in a video I did the other day about how I broke through the victim mindset and how I did I write it? Yeah, you know what? Yes, here it is. How I broke through the victim mindset, blame, excuse me, and rejection. And how I did that is, how I gained victory in that area is forgiveness. The power of forgiveness, hands down. I know some of you probably just, I heard it, you probably just said, but Tiffany, didn't you, get on medication because you were troubled and all that stuff? No. Didn't you do anything else that helped? No. Did you really forgive? That's the key. Yes. Forgiveness is the key to everything, pretty much, in our lives. It is the one thing, if nothing else. These are the 6 statistics that I found, okay? It makes us happier and healthier. If you think about it, those who hold unforgiveness are like angry. They're bitter. They lash out. They yell. They get mad. They get they like put a distance between relationships, but they do their best. Unforgiveness has also been linked to cancer and other ailments. True story. There was a lady that I know that confirmed this story. She said that until she forgave certain people, she had stomach problems for years. Now, I know a lot of us are like, well, how does that get linked? If you think about it, how unforgiveness is linked to ailments and illness, because unforgiveness is like a sickness. It is bitter. There's no life in it. It's toxic. It is something that can actually kill you, because if you don't get forgiveness down, you won't have peace. It leaves people in a state of constant chaos. But people who forgive walk around, they're happier and they're healthier. Think about that for a moment. So that's number 1. Number 2, what can happen is there's what's called there's what's called the doormat effect. The doormat effect is this, and this is my interpretation. Doormat effect is where people will be in a victim mindset, and they will continue to put themselves in the same situation with people who have repeated negative behaviors. These are people that continuously verbally abuse. They put you down in some way, shape, or form. These are people that continuously say and do things, and then they say sorry, and yet you try, but you allow yourself to be a doormat. I used to be one of those people, and I couldn't figure out why I was still continuing to get treated the same way. Yeah, why I was continuing to get treated the same way. Why that was still happening. And it's because I had a victim mindset, I had the blame game, I had all that stuff going on, and it wasn't until I figured out, just because I forgave them doesn't mean that I have to be their doormat. God's word doesn't say that. Oh, thank you. So that's the doormat effect, repeated behavior. Forgiveness is something that people do. It's for us. It's not for the other person, but it does not mean that you get to be, squashed crap on the bottom of someone's shoe. Give yourself permission to say bye, Felicia. No dishonor to any friends named Felicia who watch this. Okay, so unforgiveness, like the lack of forgiveness, it erodes partnership. If you're married, it can erode that because there will be a constant chaos in the air. Like, you just can't forgive, so you're bringing up the same stuff they do. I used to be that person, and I couldn't understand why. My ego also kept me there. Forgiveness is something that, when done, it needs to be intentional, and there needs to be responsibility for any action on our own part. We are not responsible for how other people are. We are not responsible for how other people respond. We are not even responsible for the words that other people say. We are not responsible for anyone else. We are responsible for what we do. And when we don't take responsibility, we are blaming people, and we may still have remnants of unforgiveness, which is where we need to take off our ego and look at it, excuse me, in a different perspective. I recently had a friend, someone who I thought was a really good friend, just completely lash out at me and butcher me and cut me to bits with her mouth over something that I don't ever unfriend anyone from Facebook unless it's a consistent, repetitive, negative, toxic garbage. I don't want to see that. I don't care if there's an unfollow button. If that's how somebody wants to be, bye. I don't want that on my wall. Know what I'm saying? So I don't want to see your nonsense. We all go through stuff, don't get me wrong. But on social media, it needs to be a peace-filled, edification, encouraging ground. That's what it's for. Be a light. Be a life giver, not a life sucker or life taker. So what happened is, anyway, we had forgiven each other, but there was no responsibility taken on the other end. And I was being blamed for stuff, in a sense. But I had to take responsibility for, and so I always apologize, and I always say, hey, if I have offended you in any way, please forgive me. I want my hands clean, I want my conscience clear, and I want to make sure that the other person is aware, hey, whatever my part is in this, please forgive me. Because in the other person's world, you've done something completely wrong, right? So you can't really defend yourself, because then it doesn't seem to matter what is said. It'll come off as though you're not listening to what they're saying, and it turns into a big mess. Mm-hmm. So taking responsibility and being intentional about it, it actually helps. Instead of saying, well, we can't, like I said, we can't control how people act. We can only control how we act. So if somebody wants to eat lemons for breakfast, let them. They need to add some sugar to that pie. Amen? Okay. So like I said, while we can understand and even empathize with someone, maybe they've been through things, maybe they've been abandoned, maybe they've been abused, fine, understandable. People are people, they're not perfect. I don't expect anyone to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not God. I'm not Jesus. I am far from. And I do know that might be a factor involved. Maybe they're having a bad day, whatever. But it should not be an excuse or reason why people, we, myself included, are repeating the same behavior and not taking responsibility for our actions. It will catch up to us and it will bite us in the butt. I know, I've been there. Unforgiveness, lack of forgiveness, also causes anger, emotions to be stirred up. And so whenever we're angry, have you noticed that, like, the body does something? It just, like, I don't know if you can sense it, but there's something that, like, the body does when we get angry, and we can't really control it, and we don't know what happened. Like, we don't know where that spirit came from. But there can be some real hidden emotions with unforgiveness. When I was 16, I was in a foster home, and about this time of my life, I had started getting my voice where I was becoming talkative and being okay with that. Because growing up, I was always, told to be quiet, all this rude stuff. And so I remember, I'll never forget one day, I was just sitting at the kitchen counter, and all of a sudden, I decided that I was going to let my biological mom have it. I mean, I had it all planned out. I was going to call her and tell her, dude, this was just unacceptable for you putting us in foster care. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And so I did. At the age of 16, I had probably maybe 15, 20-minute all-out yell fest at my biological mom to make her feel the way I was feeling, to try to make her feel the way I was feeling, to try to get her to, I don't know, people can't make up for the wrongs they've done. They can only take responsibility and move forward. You can't go back and change things. I wish we could. We're not Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. We can't get in a phone booth and go backwards in time and bring Abe Lincoln with us. Okay, if you haven't seen that movie, go Google YouTube Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It's the first one. Then you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I gave my mama a tongue lashing. I didn't curse at her. I didn't call her names. I just was like, I remember the words somewhat were like, why did you do that? I've had to grow up in foster care without parents. I was beaten. I was locked outside of one foster home. She didn't even feed us. She called me a pig. And, this foster lady would keep us all outside and lock the door so she could watch her soap operas. And she wouldn't really let us eat. My twin sister and I, we tried stealing a can of tuna, and we didn't have a can opener, so we were bummed, because we're like, dude, there went our lunch. Our only meal of the day, right? No, seriously, she would lock us outside all darn day. And so I was yelling at my mom. I was just trying to make her feel the way I had felt, but I guess we finally hung up the phone because, I'm sitting here now and I'm not obviously still on the phone. But thinking back to that story, I kind of chuckle now because it's amazing that when we are walking around in unforgiveness, we want the other person to pay so bad that we will do everything we can to sabotage them. We will do things that we don't even sometimes realize that we're doing. Now, did I sit there and plan out a premeditated phone call? No, I did not. Excuse me. But what I did was I let her have it. And yes, I have asked her for forgiveness since then, and we actually have a great relationship. She lives in Arkansas. So forgiveness empowers people. And here's the thing. Here's what I mean by empowers people. It does not mean that you have to go to coffee with people. It does not mean that you have to have a relationship. The people I've had to recently let go in my life, I do not want to go to dinner. I do not want to go to the park. I don't even want to go have coffee. Reason why is because of how I was treated, but I do forgive them, and I continuously have to walk in that forgiveness. And sometimes I still have to, in fact, every day I'm probably forgiving someone because I want clear. Forgiveness shows love and not hate. So you can love people from a distance. We've heard that statement. It's the most truthful statement I have ever heard. You can love people from a distance, and you can still, hey Isaac, how's it going? But forgiveness is empowering. It just like unlocks us from a cage. But it does not mean, like I said, you have to go hang out and be besties with that person, because they're obviously walking through some stuff and they need to be loved. But if they're good, like I said, if you're going to continue to put yourself around that repetitive behavior, you can't really blame anyone but yourself. So if they're still going to lash out, you don't want to be around that. Know what I'm saying? So forgiveness is not for the other person. Isaac, I appreciate you. Thank you. Forgiveness unlocks the cage, okay, that we carry around. I forgot my prop. Sorry. It also releases bondage. Releases us from bondage. Unforgiveness also ruins relationships. It can even affect, like I said at the beginning, how we do business, how we work. It can cause our family eruptions, marriage, tumultuous, that's a word, yeah, chaotic, like crazy. I know, I used to be one of those people. Because I hadn't quite gone through an unforgiveness issue 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I was working for a previous boss, and there were some certain characteristics of the previous boss that had, I guess, somehow reminded me of a father figure in my childhood, that the father figure was very abusive, and so because I had to still work on some forgiveness issues, apparently, I couldn't see my boss for who he truly was. So thank God for coaches and mentors, amen, because I was on her radio show that one day, and I had told her that, and I guess that's what I was supposed to say, and so she goes, until you forgive the man or men who have abused you in your life, you will not be able to work for your boss in a meaningful way. And I'm paraphrasing what she said, but basically I had to go back and I had to forgive. Even though I thought I had forgiven, I had to go back and do the whole forgiveness thing all over again. Now, I didn't need to tell him. It was for me. I didn't need to call him up because I've already talked with him. But I had to do it for me so I could walk through and have victory in the area of being able to look at my boss in an amazing way. And let me tell you, I learned so many business tips from him to this day. Like, for example, there's a 24-hour rule whenever you're following up with someone. So let's say you write an email. Within 24 hours, you need to give them a follow-up call if they have not responded, and keep going down the line. Because when people say, when you send an email, respond, hello. So that's just a tip, and he's a well-known businessman in the community, and hands down, he's overall an amazing guy because he has his own business. He has two, okay? So become a professional forgiver. And real quick, let me get through this so I can be respectful of y'all's times. So I was recently asked a few months ago if I hold grudges. I'm reading my notes, by the way. I looked at the person because that person had told me twice, I don't make enemies. And I thought, what the cheese stickers are you saying to me? Why are you saying that? And then he asked me, do you hold grudges? I thought about it for 10 seconds and I looked at him and I said, you know what? I can't hold grudges because God doesn't. God forgives, and I have no business holding grudges. That's what my answer was. Ego. Let's talk about ego briefly. Ego is, ego keeps us in unforgiveness. Ego is almost like pride. Ego is something that sets us up higher than we are. Ego is something that has to be right all the time. I used to be this person. From one reformed, egotistical, arrogant cow, I'm telling you, I had to walk through this process, and it was a tough but necessary walk. I'm telling you, forgiveness is hands down one of the best things I have ever done in my life. I don't know. I just encourage everyone. I'll encourage you in a moment. Ego keeps us in unforgiveness. Ego is a sneaky little thing that likes to sneak in, and the people that like to talk all about themselves, like when you're in a conversation, it's all about them. Like they don't really hear what you have to say. Ego is unteachable. Ego doesn't forgive. Ego is ego. You get what I'm saying? I could go on, but I'm not. So what I'm encouraging you to do, hands down, you've heard some stories about what I did and how I've had to walk through forgiveness and how I've had to learn how it's okay to love people from a distance. But do not continue to put yourself as a doormat to be treated the same way by people who will not choose to change their behavior or choose to walk in freedom. I'm being serious because we love them. Greatest of these is love, and I just learned this about mean people. But I also learned that when we forgive, it doesn't mean that we have to be their doormat. Or like I said, chewed up gum, spitwads, you name it, whatever. Those are toxic people. And it's okay to not go to coffee and stuff. But the one thing I want to encourage you, if you got nothing else from this video today, and this is something that I pray happens to each and every one of you after you watch this video, even maybe while you watch this video, that sounded a little odd, watched me, even as you are watching this video, maybe you've had some faces highlighted to you and you didn't understand why all of a sudden they came to your mind. Those are people you need to forgive. Let's say it happens to me all the time. Titus, how are ya? Happens to me almost every day. If there's someone that comes to my mind for no apparent reason, they either need prayer or it's someone that has literally done something that I need to forgive them for. And repeatedly. And so something else. So when these people come to mind, don't be afraid to just stop, and I'm going to share with you what to say with whenever you need to whenever you need to forgive people. Doesn't always necessarily mean you have to call them up. It just means you have to forgive so you can continuously walk in freedom. This is how you start becoming a professional forgiver. Okay? And so I'm just going to end with that because I almost forgot what I was saying. So yeah, so get in a quiet place, ask God to show you. Doesn't have to be a religious thing. Everyone can walk through forgiveness. My coach and mentor leads thousands beyond thousands of people through this forgiveness process. And there are some people that are atheists, but they still walk through it because their stories have changed since doing so. Yeah. So get in a quiet place and ask God to show you, to reveal to you the faces of people that you need to forgive. And then, as you see their faces, if you have to write a list, write a list. Once you've said what I'm going to walk you through, then cross their name off. You don't have to keep staring at their names, but you just say this: I choose to forgive so-and-so for whatever the offense that it was, and for making me feel angry, mad, sad, frustrated, whatever. And then you say, I choose to bless and release them. Other people, forgiving other people is necessary, but there is also one person that you need to also forgive on a regular basis, and that is yourself. Miss Kelsey, how are ya? That is yourself. Guys, we as people are flawed, right? I am a flawed human being. I screw up daily. I mess up. I do not get on social media, and I do not claim to look like I have it all together, because I don't. I'm walking through some stuff right now behind the scenes, but I'm not going to get on Facebook and air all that out. Because I screw up, I consistently have to forgive myself, me. That is the number one person we have to continuously forgive, is ourselves, because we can be so hard on ourselves. We can keep ourselves under so much condemnation, and when we start becoming critical over ourselves and speaking those death words, I'm such an idiot, I can never do anything right, I'm so fat, I'm so ugly, I'm stupid, then you keep rehearsing all the things that people have said over you. Yeah. It's a tough process I had to go through. I had to walk through that. You've seen the stories. And I still have to walk it out on a daily basis. I continuously have to walk in forgiveness. It is not easy, but it is necessary. It's very necessary. And I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to go through the comments to be respectful of y'all's time. Please go back and watch this from the beginning so you can catch the meat of what I'm sharing. Forgiveness is taught in church, but it's not taught really why we forgive. Forgiveness is kind of like a taboo word, kind of like sex in church, right? Sex is something that God created for marriage. I am not afraid to share that. That is not what this video is about. But forgiveness needs to be talked about in a manner that lets people know you have a choice. You can stay bitter and angry, or you can forgive and walk in peace. I've given you tips, tools. I even gave you the prayer to say when you are forgiving people. I choose to forgive so-and-so for offense stated, for making me feel whatever they made you feel. And be honest. Be honest. Don't hide anything, because God can hear it all anyway. So, and then you say, I choose to bless them. I bless them and I release them. Bless and release. Bless and release. It's just a process. So I pray that you were encouraged, and I pray that you, if nothing else, make forgiveness, becoming a professional forgiver, your number one goal and only goal for the year. And every year until God calls you home, be a professional forgiver of everyone and of yourself. When you forgive yourself, it's amazing what happens. It's like that smoke screen that was there becomes more clear. You can see your focus. The lens is better. It's like You're no longer all that stuff. No, you're forgiven. You're set free. Your freedom. Forgive. The Bible says this, and I'm paraphrasing. Forgive and you will be forgiven. If we hold anything against anyone, that's including ourselves, we have to leave it at the altar. State our case. It also says if people aren't willing to listen to you, go and get someone that they will listen to, who will listen to the thing, and it's kind of like a judge. Am I making sense? Okay, I'm going to read through these comments real quick. So, hello, Miss Susan. Life Masters is also starting a group and doing shows if you're interested in that. Okay. I'll take, yeah, I think I heard Mike talk about that today. Isaac, appreciate you. Today is a great day. Today is a great day. Yeah. You know what, though? I am so grateful, Susan, your comment here about how my mom lost out. Thank you. I am. I appreciate you. You know what, though? I look back and I think about if I had not had to go through what I had gone through, I wouldn't be, I don't even know if I'd be here. But you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I would be the same person that I am. And I think, too, when you walk through the forgiveness process and you become a professional at it, you start to see how the things that happen to you, us, the things that have happened to us, we see that they were meant to happen because you can then be used as a vessel to help other people be shown the light. Does that make sense? So, yeah. And, you know, yes, our relationship has been restored, but is it still tough? Oh, yes. Because every year around the holidays, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, some of these feelings come up again, and I have to, guess what I have to do? I have to go back through the forgiveness process, and I have to ask God, why am I feeling abandoned again? Why am I feeling like I don't have family? Part of it is, you know, because when we got taken away from our almost adoptive family at the age of 10, when I was 10, then, yeah, it's been a whole different ball game too. So, thank you. Miss Kelsey, hello. Forgiveness is key to great health. Yes, it is, Isaac. Excuse me. Thank you, Susan. I just wanted to elaborate on that as well. Thank you. Appreciate you. And I'm proud. Yes. You know, it's okay to be proud of ourselves. Yeah. You know, it's, yeah, I want to say this to you too, Susan. I'm proud of you for overcoming and choosing to not stay stuck, for choosing to move forward. That's not easy. And so I wanted to share that with you too. I felt led to say that to you because you need to know that. So anyway, please share this video with people because, guys, you never know where people are at. Not guys and gals, excuse me. Because you never know where people are at. And people need an encouraging word, and it's especially around the holidays. And I have not once ever heard or seen forgiveness as a goal on people's goals for the year. It's like they want more finances, and they want to lose weight, and they want to do all this stuff. So speaking of that, losing weight thing, I posted something about that on my wall. Y'all gotta go check it out, okay? Because I also help people in the area. Do you know forgiveness is also a key to weight loss? FYI, because a lot of people that are holding on to things, you're holding on to something. So once you start forgiving, things go. Okay? So that's just a tip for you. It is so hard, but yet so worth it at the same time. Susan, you are absolutely correct. Hi, Zach. I'm almost done with my video. So that being said, I love you. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much for spending time with me when you could have been doing who knows what. Something else. Could have been doing something else with your time, but I didn't mean that rude at all. You could have been doing something else with your time, and you chose to spend it with me. So I appreciate you. You have an amazing day. And yeah, I'll check out what that Live Masters group is. That would be kind of cool. That'd be cool. So, you know what's funny is that I actually specified these things that I wanted to do about speaking and getting my story out. I had told God that this is something that I wanted to do. So now, in His timing, He opens doors that no man can shut. So I'm excited. So, all right. Thank you so much again for joining me. And tomorrow's Friday. So I might do a fun Friday video. Yeah. Let's just end the week fun, shall we? Okay. Love you. Bye-bye.